Maya had always lived in the shadows of life, quiet, unnoticed, and forgotten by the world. Born in a remote fishing village with no electricity, no paved roads, and no access to opportunity, Maya learned early that survival required both strength and silence. Her mother died when she was 9. Her father abandoned her shortly after. By 14, she slept wherever she could find a dry corner and worked odd jobs for scraps of food. In her village, people called her the girl life forgot. Yet, despite everything, Maya had a rare gift, a heart that refused to grow bitter. She would give water to strangers. She shared the little food she had with children who were hungrier than her. And no matter how the world treated her, she always whispered the same phrase to herself: kindness doesn't leave empty-handed, it returns. By 18, Maya left the village to seek work in the city. But seeking was a luxury she didn't have. She took the first job that didn't require education or connections, a dishwasher in a rundown roadside restaurant called Riverway Diner. From dawn till midnight, she washed mountains of greasy plates, wiped tables, scrubbed pots, and mopped floors. Her salary was barely enough to survive. The owner, a heavy-set man named Mr. Russo, barked orders at her like she wasn't human. "Faster, girl. You think you're here for vacation?" But Maya never talked back. She worked, she watched, she learned. At night, she slept on a wooden bench outside the kitchen, using a torn apron as a blanket. Rain leaked through the cracked roof. Rats sometimes scurried across the floor, but she had known worse. And she held onto one truth: storms don't last forever. Some break to bring new seasons. Still, life was cruel. One evening, she overheard 2 waitresses whispering about a billionaire arriving in town. Christopher Hale, owner of Hale Industries, a man known for his empire, his influence, and his cold personality. People said he could buy any city street if he wanted. They also said he had powerful enemies, too many to count. Maya laughed quietly to herself. Billionaires lived in another universe. She was too invisible to ever cross paths with one. Or so she thought. It was raining heavily the night Christopher Hale walked into Riverway Diner. He wore a soaked suit, his face pale, his steps unsteady. He looked nothing like the powerful tycoon shown on TV. Instead, he looked like a man carrying the weight of a collapsing world on his shoulders. "Just coffee," he whispered to the waiter. Maya watched him from the kitchen doorway, wondering why someone so important looked so broken. Minutes later, he began coughing violently. His hands trembled. He tried to stand but collapsed to the floor, clutching his chest. "Call an ambulance," someone screamed. But no one moved. The staff froze. Customers backed away. Everyone watched in shock, afraid to get involved. Everyone except Maya. Without thinking, she ran to him. His breathing was irregular. His face was turning blue. His pulse was weak and fading fast. Suddenly, her memory flashed back to her village, to her neighbor, Mr. Kant, who had collapsed exactly like this after being poisoned by tainted herbal wine. The symptoms were identical. Maya didn't hesitate. She lifted Christopher's head gently, tilted it to help him breathe, checked his pulse, and spoke softly, though he could barely hear her. "Stay with me. Don't drift." She called the waiter to bring salt water. When he refused, she grabbed it herself and forced Christopher to drink a few sips, triggering vomiting, just like she had seen in her village. Seconds later, his breathing stabilized slightly. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics stared at her in surprise. "What exactly did you do?" one asked. Maya shrugged. "In my village, we save each other with what we have." Christopher was rushed to the hospital, and Maya returned to washing dishes. She didn't expect anything. She didn't even know she had saved his life. But destiny saw everything. The next morning, 3 black SUVs stopped in front of the diner. Security guards stepped out. Men in suits, dark glasses, and expressions that meant business. The diner workers froze in fear. Mr. Russo nearly dropped a tray. They walked straight into the kitchen. "Which one of you is Maya?" the lead guard asked. Maya stepped back instinctively. "I'm Maya." "You need to come with us." Mr. Russo tried to intervene. Whatever she did, I can explain. The guard raised his hand. She saved Mr. Hale's life. He is requesting her presence immediately. The diner fell silent. Everyone stared at her, stunned. The dishwasher saved a billionaire? Maya was taken to Christopher Hale's private estate. A mansion so large she felt like she had stepped into a dream. Marble floors, gold chandeliers, walls lined with art. Christopher was sitting in a wheelchair, recovering but alert. When he saw her, his eyes softened. "You," he said. "You're the girl who didn't hesitate." Maya bowed awkwardly. "I only did what anyone would do." "No," he said slowly. "Nobody else did. Only you." For the first time, she saw him not as a billionaire but as a man. One who had faced death and returned humbled. "Do you know what they found in my system?" he asked. She shook her head. "Poison. Administered slowly over several weeks. Someone close to me wanted me dead." Maya's heart tightened. He continued, "Your actions prevented the poison from triggering full cardiac arrest. If you hadn't intervened, I wouldn't be sitting here." Maya felt tears rising. "And because of that," Christopher said, "I want to help you start a new life. Whatever you need, education, a place to live, safety. Ask for it." She shook her head. "I don't want anything. I was just trying to help." Christopher studied her for a long moment. "Then let me give you something you don't even know you deserve," he said quietly. Days later, the investigation revealed the truth. The poison came from inside Christopher's company. Someone high-ranking, someone he trusted deeply. A betrayal planned for months. They wanted control of his empire, and his death would have given it to them. But because of Maya, the plot unraveled. Christopher invited her to stay in his guest house temporarily. She received clothes, good food, and more kindness than she had seen in years. Their conversations became more frequent. He asked about her life, her village, her dreams. Nobody had ever asked her that before. "I want to learn," she whispered one night. "I want to read, to understand the world." He smiled gently. "Then that's exactly what you will do." He hired tutors. He enrolled her in evening classes. She learned fast, faster than anyone expected. Her intelligence, hidden all her life by hardship, finally had room to breathe. And slowly, Maya began to blossom. But the conspirators were not done. One night, Christopher received a threat. Someone wanted to finish what the poison failed to do. His security team was compromised. The estate was at risk. And Maya, now staying on the property, was in danger too. Christopher tried to send her away for her own safety. "You've helped me enough," he insisted. "I won't let you get hurt because of me." But Maya refused. "You saved me first," she said softly, "by giving me a world I never dreamed I would see. Let me stay." Her loyalty touched him deeply. That night, the conspirators attempted one final strike. An attack planned from inside the estate. Alarms blared. Guards scrambled. Lights went out. In the chaos, Maya remembered the layout of the security room Christopher had once shown her. She ran there, dodging shadows and noise, and manually locked down the estate's doors. She activated emergency barriers that trapped the infiltrators inside until backup arrived. Her courage ended the conspiracy. She saved Christopher's life twice. When the dust settled, Christopher approached her. "You've changed everything," he said. "My life, my future, and yours." Maya looked down shyly. "I just repaid kindness with kindness." "No," he said firmly. "You gave me back my life. In return, I want to give you something lasting." He created a scholarship in her name. He offered her a permanent home. And eventually, he appointed her to a role in his company, starting as an assistant but with the promise of rising higher with every skill she gained. People whispered about the girl who came from nothing. Some doubted her. Others envied her. But Christopher didn't care. He believed in her. He saw her. And for the first time, Maya believed in herself too. Years later, Maya stood at a podium as Christopher introduced her to an audience as the newest leader of one of his foundation branches. The room applauded. Cameras flashed. Her story had spread across the country. She took a deep breath and spoke. I was not born lucky. I was born fighting. Fate didn't give me gifts. It gave me storms. But storms shape us. Kindness saves us. And sometimes, the very people the world ignores are the ones destiny chooses to change everything. The room went silent. Then it erupted in applause. Maya smiled through tears. She was no longer the forgotten kitchen girl. She was proof that resilience, courage, and one act of kindness can rewrite a human life. If this story moved you, leave a like, subscribe for more real stories of struggle, hope, and destiny. Thank you.